Hi, I would like to talk about Gun Psyker because I think I've fully perfected this build and created the best version of it, frankly, ever. This is, as many of you will remember, one of the first builds I ever talked about and shielded super hard for when it was new. So I'd like to revisit it and give it a little bit of a touch up. So, a little bit of forewarning, this build doesn't have much leeway, as in, you really can't change many things about it at all, or else it's just not going to function nearly as well. So, with that being said, also trust me, I'm going to have to talk quite a lot about talents. This video is going to be a little bit longer than normal. So, Dueling Sword, Recon lasgun, Toughness, Stamina with this talent tree. Though you may see I have some other things to talk about here. Okay, so the Dueling Sword only exists to deal with bosses and carapace. That's basically it. You can use the knife, you can use the Moonlight Greatsword, you can use pretty much any melee weapon. This is just the best one. As long as it has thrust, uncanny, carapace, unyielding. You can change thrust for precog, and honestly, it'll probably be just as good. I just noticed that in all my testing, thrust consistently gives me slightly higher DPS. So, the Recon lasgun. This got buffed, and I normally think Infernus is not nearly as good as people think it is. However, in Gun Psyker, Infernus is absolutely insane. A huge focus I had on Gun Psyker this time around was ammo conservation. Because the biggest complaint people have about Gun Psyker is that it just takes too much ammo. Well, thanks to the buffs to the Recon lasgun, making it just better than the Columnus now, and how everything in this build will work to increase Infernus's dot, and the crit chance you get means you guarantee that you crit, and you can consistently, like with 100% consistency, by the way, kill gunners in like 2 or 3 bullets. And that is probably the biggest advantage that the Recon lasgun has over the Columnus. So let me show you what I'm talking about, because Flak and Maniac are here for very specific reasons. That comprises most of the high health targets that you're shooting at. So Flak, Maniac, and Dum Dum. Those combine to be about 35% damage for the Infernus dot. Scrier's Gaze is an extra 40% for that. Disrupt Destiny is an extra 15%, and Warp Rider is an extra 20%. So you're looking at about 2.3 times damage Infernus does on Gunpsyker compared to Zealot or Veteran. Then you consider that Gunpsyker has the ability to reach like 80% crit chance, and yeah, Infernus becomes really, really broken here. So let me show you what I'm talking about with a live demonstration. I'm changing this. I'm just taking off damage reduction because we don't need it for demonstration, and this just gives me my stacks faster. Okay, so let's build some stacks here. And then I promise I'll talk about the talent tree because I know there's some people that are just going to be clamoring to say I'm stupid for not taking like 1 node or 2 nodes in particular. Okay, so look, this is your normal crit rate. See, it took us like 20 shots there to actually get a single crit off. And that's why I don't like Infernus normally. But when you consider the damage increase from Scrier's Gaze and the crit chance increase, look at this. 10 bullets, and we almost got full Infernus stacks. So you can see how just the smallest burst can incredibly consistently kill just about everything. But now you may notice that these guys are dying much slower. Your damage output goes way down without Gaze active. So that was without Gaze. Now look at this with Scrier's Gaze active. Way, way, way stronger, yeah? So there's a few things that conspire to make this just so incredibly good. Infernus being able to tick for 350 damage, it goes up to about 470-ish with the damage stim, by the way, so you really want to hold on to damage stims as Gunpsyker. They are like your top priority. The crit chance, meaning you can consistently apply Infernus, and Infernus ticking effectively as if it had two versions of Infernus going at the same time, because that's basically the damage this outputs, means that you can incredibly consistently kill like every special and every elite in 1 burst fire and only like 2 ticks of the dot. So you can actually save an incredible amount of ammo by focusing on only playing like that. Okay, so let me talk about these talents, because I know some people are very confused right now. So first and foremost, let's talk about what I think people are going to take the most issue with, then we'll take it from the top and explain everything. Why no true aim? True aim is extremely bad on Gun Psyker, I think. So, true aim is good here when you're only critting like this. Think about this with true aim. Here's something I've never heard anyone talk about with true aim. True aim will proc regardless of if so. Every 5 weak spot hits makes your 6th attack a guaranteed crit. Okay. What happens if that 6th attack is a crit just without true aim? Well, then true aim still procs, but it's just wasted. And when you consider that your crit rate on this build is like that, some of those white numbers are just Infernus dot ticking. Yeah, the odds of that 6th shot not critting are exceptionally low. And this is really bad for the Recon lasgun specifically, by the way, because the Recon lasgun bursts in crits of 2. So let's say every other attack is a crit with the Recon lasgun. You crit, and then you get the follow-up attack as a guaranteed crit. So you get 1 crit that turns into 2 attacks that are guaranteed crits. So you get 2 headshots, then you don't crit the next time, then you don't crit on the next 2 attacks. Now you're 4 headshots in, and then you do the 5th attack, and that crits, and now your true aim is procced, so that 5th hit is a crit, but because you crit in bursts of 2, the 6th hit is guaranteed a crit without true aim. True aim, after doing all the math, is terrible. Because of the fact that it procs on the 6th shot, and that's an even number, and this crits in a factor of 2, and true aim activates on a factor of 2, on top of you just having really high crit chance, it is a double whammy of true aim not being good here. I have done runs with and without true aim. I have gotten less damage in true aim runs, despite the fact, literally, just taking off toughness and putting this on. It is imperceivable, the difference that this could ever make. This just makes the build worse. Why no kinetic deflection? I don't think kinetic deflection is very good anymore without a force sword just in general. And in a build where you're constantly generating peril every second, this is just not good. And why no warp speed? Well, warp speed is kind of useless. So you get 15% move speed, 20% move speed, just for killing an enemy that's marked. And then just for critting, you get 15% move speed. So this is 35% move speed, which lets you move faster than anyone else in the game. Let me just show this off. This is your frickin' move speed, just like without warp speed. You don't need it. You're already running faster than everyone on your team is, just with metal and disrupt destiny. All warp speed does is let you get further ahead of your team, which frankly, I just don't really value that, because if you're efficiently routing through the map as is, you already have control over all the pickups. You'll get the red stim before everyone else, trust me. So there's a point, especially with the dueling sword and knife, where you have so much move speed that you're already outrunning everything just by sprinting. You don't need it to do any more. It does not actually help you anymore. It's overkill. So you can just save a point here by not taking this. Okay, now, one other thing I want to talk about is these 3 nodes. These 3 nodes have changed everything about Gun Psyker, I feel like. Just because it's called Gun Psyker doesn't mean you stand there and shoot all the time. You actually want to use your melee, and a lot, for horde clear. So lightning speed is a node that I don't know why Psyker didn't have before. Every single class in the game but Psyker had a 10% melee attack speed node, and this makes Psyker's melee feel so good to use. And warp splitting basically doubles the dueling sword's ability to clear hordes, which, I mean, you use this node on something like the greatsword, by the way, holy fuck. But the final and most important thing here is by crack of bone. This makes it so that you can quell peril by fighting in the horde and generate less peril. So you consider that you just sit here and do this. This one node makes it so that you can extend your Scrier's gaze time. Basically, like, you know, you can, like, triple your Scrier's gaze time. And this all plays into the dueling sword's strength specifically, because the dueling sword or knife is a finesse weapon. So you're getting, like, double finesse damage from this, and, like, 60% base damage. So it all comes together to where you just chain weak spot kills like a madman. And because you have double cleave, the dueling sword, I mean, you saw, I was able to kill like 2 guys in one swing, which with the dueling sword and its pretty crazy attack speed, like once you start building some heat like this, I mean, you can see for yourself, it is definitely not what I'd call bad. There's better weapons, obviously. Oh, the other thing that's crazy is, look, 366 damage. So with no Disrupt Destiny stacks, 1 light attack from the dueling sword can kill a trash mob almost. So with even just like 2 stacks of this, you get 1 taps. If you have full stacks of this and this going, and this cleave, you can like kill 2 guys per light attack with the dueling sword. That's already fucking crazy. Okay, so let's talk from the top here. Metal is 5% toughness every time you crit and move speed. So look, every single yellow number here is 5% toughness. With how fast both of these weapons attack and how high your crit chance is, like every time you hear this swoosh, 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 this is all crits, baby. So, you know, every single time you attack, you basically crit with this build. So metal is absolutely insane. Warp expenditure and quietude are insane, and I think they're non-negotiable here, purely because this is generating peril literally every second, and this node are constantly quelling significant amounts of peril every single second. You want a good example of this? Watch this. Look at this. I can go from 100 peril to 0 peril, like, instantly. And then just remember, every percent of peril I'm generating is toughness. And then every percent that I'm dumping is also toughness back. So it's just, and then every crit, which I need to crit to do damage to dump in the first place. So I'm getting rewarded for attacking, and then I'm getting rewarded for just existing, and then I'm double dipping on my attack rewards. So your toughness generation is insane on this build. Second off, your toughness damage reduction is also insane, by the way, because this is 20% toughness damage reduction. This averages out to be about another 20 to 30%. And these stack, so you get, like, after scaling, you get pretty consistently, like, 42-ish% toughness damage reduction on top of this insane amount of toughness generation. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I don't like Battle Med. The only reason you would take Battle Meditation, and we used to take this in the past, is because Perilous Combustion isn't super good. On its own, you kill just like 1 elite, and look, the damage is pretty shitty, I'm not gonna lie. See, it's like 15 damage. It's not a lot. But consider this. The exact same mechanics that make Infernus good also apply to Perilous Combustion. So, let me just And this was a big thing with this version of Gunpsyker. I really wanted to avoid wasted nodes. And just taking this 15 toughness didn't really feel like it was worth it. So let me just show you something real quick. Also, you should probably understand how Disrupt Destiny actually works, because it got reworked very recently. Every, like, 3 seconds maximum, it will choose a target in your line of sight, no matter what. Not even in your line of sight, like just your field of view, even if there's guys behind cover. The way it works right now is if there is a targetable enemy, see, like that, if there is a targetable enemy, when the cooldown ticks down, it is always going to target it, no matter what. It is incredibly consistent now. So look, 1 dot now does 17, and 2 dots start doing like 60. This is okay for horde clear. If you kill, like, you know, like 2 of these guys in a horde. Also, yeah, you don't want to be just shooting raw into Carapace. But yeah, you kill 2 of those guys in a horde, and you get a 60 damage per second dot going, and on guys that only have 300 health. Like, you know, 3 to 370 health. I mean, I could just show you to give you an example of what this is like with just Infernus. Like, now, if that's 60, that's just straight up killing that guy. So, 2 elite kills with all this damage is actually enough to make Perilous Combustion kill trash. So, if you're going the Infernus pump dots as much as possible route, I actually feel like it's not terrible. But it's more so, this is more terrible. So Psychokinetic's aura is absolutely mandatory. Well, I guess I should talk about this first. You can go Smite or Brain Burst here. I'm literally just going Brain Burst to be even more ammo conscious. Just so, like, I know I can Recon lasgun down a sniper, and it's not that ammo expensive. But if I don't have to, if I don't have Scrier's Gaze ready to be used, why not just Brain Burst down stuff? It's not like I need the Peril, you know? It's not like I need to hold on to the Peril, and if it saves me like 10 shots, hey man, 10 shots saved 10 times is 100 bullets. That's a small ammo tin. If it can save me a small ammo tin in a run, it's worth it. But Smite is also just as fine here. You can't do this, though. The worst way to build Gun Psyker is Assail, Perfect Timing, and Malefic Momentum. This is really bad, and I don't think people quite understand why. One, Assail just makes this build weaker overall because everything you can do with the dueling sword and the gun, Assail is trying to do. It doesn't add anything that you can't do without them. And the biggest issue is you will actually blow up if you Assail while Scrier's gazing, which is kind of the point. And the other biggest problem is Psychokinetic's aura. So look, Psychokinetic's aura is probably just the most overpowered skill in the entire game. And this shows itself in this build particularly. Do you see how my timer's not ticking down? It's stuck at 19 seconds. Well, as you can see, getting kills while in Scrier's Gaze resets the cooldown on Gaze with Psychokinetic's aura, on top of taking 1 to 2 seconds off of everybody else's ultimate as well. Psychokinetic's aura is so powerful in a Scrier's Gaze build where your primary purpose is to be ahead of the pack and just killing absolutely everything. This is a build where you will consistently end with an overwhelming majority of elites killed. And then you consider that those elites are taking 1 to 2 seconds cooldown off of everyone. And it's just immense value. Not having Psychokinetic's aura in a Gun Psyker build is like, you're basically just playing a goofy build for fun at that point. There's really no way around it. It also severely limits the amount of time you get to spend in Scrier's Gaze because there's no other way to take down the cooldown while it's active. Okay, so let's talk about two things that are really, really important. Tranquility through Slaughter is fucking insane and busted. Like, there's no way around this, but, like, with the Recon lasgun specifically, I mean, just look. Like, I can keep Scrier's Gaze going, like, for goddamn ever. You know, then you pull this out, get a couple kills here, and then get that reduced peril generation going. And, like, dude, you can effectively swap between your weapons and stay in Gaze for, like, ever. Okay, now, let's address the elephant in the room. How does Scrier's Gaze actually work? You pop it, you constantly gain heat. The longer you're in it, the more damage you get. And then the 40% damage that you get from Scrier's Gaze will stick around for 10 seconds after leaving it, by the way. So when you consider how fast you lose heat with this, you leave Scrier's Gaze and then reset your heat and get enough kills to just re-enter it while that damage buff is still running. Let me just give you an example of what that's like. Also, Survivalist helps this build out a lot. So you see how we're just ready to go? So we don't need to quell or do anything. We just get some crits. Hell, you can just go straight back into Gaze, use the crit chance to start getting crits to manually dump your peril. And, I mean, you can see how, especially in a real game where you're fighting more elites than this in bigger packs, yeah, you can kind of just keep this going forever. And precognition, this is 30% finesse damage, and if you need context for that, it's basically adding a 0.3x multiplier to your weak spot hits and your critical attacks. Who the fuck? Dude, John Warhammer? Warhammer itself is I'm getting guys, Games Workshop is fucking ascending me. I'm literally getting ascended to the exalted position of Primarch Hood. Warhammer itself has invited me. Okay, I genuinely don't know who that is, but whatever. So then this all stacks with Disrupt Destiny. And Disrupt Destiny, every time you kill a marked target, replenishes more toughness, gives you movement speed, and you get 50% weak spot damage, 40% critical damage, and 15% base damage. And all those damage bonuses stack with this. So this is like a 0.5 times increase to your critical headshots. This is a 0.3 times increase to your critical headshots. On top of this, and this adding together to double your base damage. So you're dealing double base damage, and you're getting like almost double critical damage. This shit stacks. So you get like double critical effect on top of dealing more damage for those increased criticals to amplify even further. So, also worth mentioning, every time you crit, you become immune to gunners. As if you needed more things to be defensive. So when you're just sitting here doing this, you literally can't be shot by anything. Yeah, you remember that 80% critical chance I was talking about? Yeah, all of these crits give you gunner immunity. Just in case you needed another reason, you know? Just in case you needed another layer of defense. People tell you Psyker is squishy. Surety of arms is really good. I'm not going to lie. Let me just show you what this is like. So this is a normal reload right here. And this is a surety of arms reload. Now, surety of arms encourages you to not spam your reloads, because the less ammo you have, the faster you reload with it. So do. And now look at this. Much faster. It's just a way to get ammo back in the gun quicker, and it's just better than true aim, so you kind of are forced to take it. So, let's talk about things you can change. If you want to go left side for perfectionism, because the way Destiny works now is every time you would lose a stack, instead of losing the whole thing, you only lose one stack. So perfectionism is incredibly easy to maintain nowadays, but you kind of need Cruel Fortune. So, let me show you why this is. So we get our stack going. Yeah, by the way, I just two-shot that guy with no Uncanny Strike, and I one-shot them with Uncanny Strike. By the way, the dueling sword is a balanced weapon on Psyker, in case you didn't know that. Anyway, so the way this works is it marks a target after every so often, and you need Cruel Fortune because the 3 stacks make it so that it's okay to not get killed. So let's look at how long it takes to lose 3 stacks. We lost 1. I'm looking at the timer on OBS. We lost 2. So as long as you can kill one of the marked guys, the guys that are glowing blue, through walls, hell, even if you have to just fucking brain burst them, as long as you kill one of these guys, every fucking 12 to like 15 seconds, you will maintain your stacks. It is incredibly easy to do so. Also, look at the goddamn damage increase you get from this shit. I just feel the need to point this out. Let me just dump my Peril real quick. Look at that. Look at that. One-shot Crusher without Uncanny Strike. You can one-shot a fucking Crusher without Uncanny Strike if everything is stacked up. A stinky loser blessing does nothing. By the way, guys, this weapon is totally balanced on Psyker, FYI. Totally, it's only the Zealots that are a problem. It's not anything else. You don't even need Uncanny Strike to one-shot this shit. But God forbid you actually stack up Uncanny Strike first. And then, like, you don't even need a lot of gaze stacks. Ooh, stinky, stinky, poop, stinky, balanced weapon. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, balanced. You don't even need Uncanny to one-shot things. Also, yeah, something else I should show you since we're here. The boss damage on this thing is fucking ridiculous. Where is the Plague Ogre at? There's the Plogren. I just really want to show this. I mean, I don't know, dude. This looks like an extremely balanced weapon to me. Frankly, I think the problem is that we gave this weapon to Zealot, if I'm being honest with you. I think the actual problem is that Zealot is just too fucking good. Clearly. So, I don't really have much else to talk about. But, yeah. If you really want to, you can strip a toughness off here and then take by Crack of Bone. But this does leave you with 157 toughness, which it's plenty, don't get me wrong. And I definitely play it exactly like this sometimes. But, I don't know. I've been playing this lately, and it's really, really comfy. You never have to think about stacks or anything. You just kind of play as if you would play a veteran or a zealot. you just do way more damage and move way faster and generate more toughness and have constant 50% toughness damage reduction. Hey, how did people say that this class is bad in melee again?